Welcome to On the Town. This week we thought we'd invite you backstage to our editing bay and show you how we put together a show. Now we're very excited because last night we got a fantastic set of footage for a show we helped put on. We came to Fashion Island, California to benefit the Orange County Museum of Art. And with the help of our friends and a real dedicated group of ladies called the Islanders, we helped put together a show with two of the greats, the icons of television. Now, this is pretty important for us because this year is the 50th anniversary of television, and when you talk about who really started the modern television era, it actually started in 1948 with the Texaco Theater starring Milton Berle, and we brought Milton Berle and the other great icon from the early 50s, Sid Caesar, right to Fashion Island. Now, what we really enjoyed about this, it was a benefit, as I said earlier, for the Orange County Museum of Art. And we met a lot of people who helped us, especially the group called the Islanders, who were really a support group for the children's programs from the Museum of Art. And under the tutelage of the great Ann Stern, the president of the Islanders, Eve Cormier, Fran Mulvaney, and a number of other ladies, we put on a great event. Now, the ladies themselves put together a dinner, and they decorated all of Fashion Island as if it was the Titanic. And as they brought 200-plus patrons to a beautiful dinner, they sailed through Newport Beach on the USS Titanic and really had a beautiful evening, dancing, everything else. And then on around 9 o'clock, Sid Caesar and Milton Berle took the stage. Before they took that stage, though, early in the day, I had a chance to sit with Sid Caesar and do a little interview. So let's look at that first, and then we'll come back and show you the rest of the evening. We have a great treat this evening. All year we've been celebrating the 50th year of television. Television started really in 1948, and sitting next to me right now is one of the greats, one of the real pioneers, one of the great television icons left in our industry, Mr. Sid Caesar. Sid, you, I think we would start off by telling our audience, you really started a musician, didn't you?
Yes, I was a musician before I went into comedy. But by being a musician, you play a lot of shows, you see a lot of people, you see a lot of actors, a lot of comedians, a lot of singers. And I got the idea maybe I could do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Sid, you're really one of the few people who does mime and gibberish at the same time. You either see one or the other. We've seen a lot of great mimes in early television, but we really don't see. It's almost like a lost art today, though.
Well, today it's a stand-up sitcom world.
Right.
It's either stand-up or it's a sitcom. And it's joke, 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 joke. There's very little playing with character, playing about, it's everything is in your face.
Right.
It's you and you and you. And when we were working, we made fun of ourselves. And by making fun of yourself, then they could empathize with you.
Right.
Because they say, yeah, I went through that. I know a guy who went through that, and my uncle went through this or that. But it's a different world. The language that they use today is is whatever you want.
Right. Nothing you'd ever see on television 20 years ago.
Or 5 years ago.
That's true. You know, I saw a great show last year on PBS, and it was really one of your rat sessions where a lot of your writers came back, and I think everyone remembers you most for your show of shows, which really started your career nationally, though. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Now, wasn't that did you convert that from the stage originally?
No.
So it was just...
That was done as a television show. It was born as a television show, and it was like the first act of a Broadway show because it was done live. That's a different animal than today.
Right.
Because it's one take, and the show is an hour and a half long, from 9 to 10:30 at night. Excuse me. And there were no cue cards, there were no teleprompters, so you had to know it. And that's like flying without a net today.
Well, it was also early television, you know.
No, it was a different, because today they don't look at you in the eye. They go,
right.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. You go over here and I'll tell him, and you come back to tell me, and then we'll go.
Right.
So this way you look, in the eye.
I think that for the new person in television, they would have no idea the type of writers you have. And I'm going to go over some of the writers that was on that show, and I like a few comments from you. And of course, these are household names that went on, but You had, of course, you had the Oscar Simon. You got
No, that's Neil Simon.
name is Simon. I'm saying the Oscar winner, Neil Simon.
Yeah.
You know, and was he he's somewhat of a quiet man today. Was he that way when he was writing?
Yeah, he still is. That was his nature. He doesn't put anything on. He's a marvelous, marvelous man. They are all geniuses because to put a show out every week, not for 20 weeks or 22, 39, and an hour and a half long live for 39 weeks every week. That's quite a chore. And today, I don't think they could do it.
Well, we had Neil Simon. Let's go to the other side, Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks, yeah, oh, sure. There was Mel Brooks. There was Larry Gelbart.
Right.
There was Carl Reiner. There was
Woody Allen, didn't he?
Woody Allen. There was Aaron, Mel Tolkien.
Yeah.
These are the top people, and they really. I was so lucky to get them all, because they wanted to work for me.
Right.
And when they came, it was like, now can you imagine all those guys in one room?
Oh, of course. Well, let's take Larry Gelbart, the originator of MASH, Tootsie. I mean, great work. But probably your show was their breeding grounds, really, because that really was probably some of their first writing assignments for television.
Oh, sure.
Which is a very different medium in those days.
It was quite a different medium because we did everything. We did silent movies, we did foreign movies, we did satires on movies of today.
Right.
We did sketches, we did everything you can think of, and we did pantomimes, and we did everything, and it was a well-rounded because everybody worked in every place. They worked in sketches, they worked in opera. We did operas, we did satires of operas, so that it was an all-around show. Today it's did you come in yet? And also, excuse me. There's a 24-hour laugh track that goes on all the time. All you got to do is plug into it.
Right, right.
You want to... Oh, the captain's here.
There's the captain. Sid, you won an Emmy in 1951, and that was for your show of shows.
Mm-hmm.
You came back and won another Emmy in 1956.
Yeah.
How long did your show of shows, that particular show, have a run? How many years?
Shows ran for 4 years. And then Caesar's Hour ran for another 4 years.
Right. That's what is the Emmy for 56, correct?
Yeah. Well, we have 56, 57, and 50, 55.
Mm-hmm. When you came back after a while, you left television for a little while, but you came back to the stage out in Broadway and you did your show.
Yes.
What was it like going back to Broadway?
It's marvelous, sure.
Instant reaction, I mean.
You get, we got an instant reaction too on television.
Right.
You didn't have to, again, you forgot it was live.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something, I'll tell you a funny story.
Well, I'm getting at is you didn't have 500 people, even though it's live. You have the reaction of the entire audience on a live Broadway stage that you don't have in filming a show. In that respect.
We're not talking about filming a show. Mm-hmm. We're talking about doing it live.
Right.
See, let me explain to you again, so you understand what live is. I was giving a lecture at Columbia University in New York, and all the people that were there were writers of shows that were on the air. Mm-hmm. So these are men who were working right today. When I finished the lecture and I told them that, it was a show, it was live and it was an hour and a half long, the first question was, Mr. Caesar, we understand the show was an hour and a half long and you did it live, but could you tell us how long did it take you to shoot the hour and a half?
I understand.
Now you understand what I'm talking about?
I think
because you're talking, and when you do it live.
Right. Well, no, I think that maybe I didn't phrase that for you as well as I should have.
Yeah.
You go back to Broadway,
Yeah.
you're in a major theater.
Because when we worked on television, we worked at 1,500 people and 5,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't like 250 people in the audience.
Did it surprise you that when you went back to Broadway, how successful you were?
When you're on television, if you can make it on television,
Right.
you can make it anywhere, especially live.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that.
But things had changed so much from the
Oh.
time. That's what I'm talking. You had a span there of about 15 years almost from when you were doing that live on television to you went back. You didn't get back to Broadway to what year when you did your own show?
1960.
Right. So you're talking 6 years.
No, we're talking
54, 55.
No,
area.
I didn't go off the air till 59.
Okay.
So that's 2 years.
Well, I think the show that when you went back to Broadway, Caesar, it was a one-man, the set of skits.
Yeah.
Right. Also, let me ask you about the making of a movie that stands out in a lot of people's mind. It's a mad, mad, mad world. I mean, you had all types of personalities.
How'd you like to start every morning with 18 comedians?
It's stealing your jokes, right?
No, they're talented people. They really are. They don't steal any jokes.
How long did it take to film that movie?
Well, I was on the movie for about 5-6 months.
That's a long time.
Yeah, well, it took about a year to shoot. It was a marvelous movie.
When I think back of the great writers that Sid Caesar trained for television, they were the men who went on for the next 50 years to write some of the greatest television shows. And in just a couple of minutes, we're going to walk back on stage, and I have to start the show. You're going to see it last night. We're going to be in 130 countries around the world and from coast to coast on 300 stations domestically. So we're getting ready to set. You'll see the footage from last night where I walked on stage and started the show. Good evening, everybody. Can you believe it? Newport Beach, August. Could it be any better? Really. It's my pleasure to come for you tonight, and we are going on coast to coast right now and on the town in 130 countries around the world. It really is a pleasure to be here. I was in the museum a couple of days ago, and in the museum, in the center gallery, there is a timeline from 1900 to present. On that timeline is obviously World War I, World War II, even in the opening of the museum. But in 1948, exactly 50 years ago, it notes the beginning of television across America, and the note in that particular time and year says Milton Berle starts the Texaco Star Theater. It is really a great honor to be here tonight, to have these great men on stage, and it's my pleasure to introduce the Director of Entertainment for the Friars Club, who's our producer for the evening, Mr. John Francis.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You listen, we want to hear a lot of noise when we bring this gentleman out. Let's hear a big round of applause. Let me hear it. Come on. That's it. Now you got it. Now you got it. Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here. It's nice to see all you lovely people. And right now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the gentleman who is an icon, who's celebrating his 85th year in show business. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, the great Milton Berle. Let's hear it.
Put up the lights all around the trees, please. Now I can see you. Very happy to be here. And I want to just say, ladies and gentlemen, by your great reception that you gave to John Francis when he mentioned my name, was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. On the Titanic, there were different nationalities from different countries. Here to explain, if I may say this, is Mr. Sid Caesar, who's up in the brain, knows everything about the story about the Titanic and the fatal sinking. You're on, Professor.
Merci, mesdames et messieurs. Est-ce que vous allez trouver la chante pour les chants, Freddy Toussaint, le Titanic? Le Titanic va dar plus de chance, je l'avais pendant la semaine, moi les femmes, vous ont trop de chèvres avec pantomime. Ce soit l'événement, tradition entre les belles, pour prendre des architectures sont faites de Titanic, le femme pas, ils ne sont pas de capables. Voltaire se soumet dans ton tribulation village, choix de décembre, avec le mois de décembre. Tout notre ordinaire se cendre, les bateaux, les padres, les chats, et droite et gauche, et droite, nous fondons avec les pattes en bas. Richelieu, cardinal Richelieu, ça va la poitrine des thèmes de le son de l'événement Brett Kidal. Nous sommes triviés à 7 Londres, une sonde, l'événement tout l'empire par mes cœurs, sur l'événement la cinéma, le son de mes pas de lecture. Et avec ton logimètre, le son de la Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo, son enfant, ils sont prêts de se trouver mais la frontière dans la Milton Berle. Milton Berle sont arrivés dans leur grande intelligence de pendre les passants et les macardes. Son ingénieur pour les cèdres sont les mêmes pointés de Saint-Val Romal. De la René Descartes, de nos chemins l'apprentissage. Emil Zola sont parmi dans son premier papa. Son nouvel père, nous trouvons de Gilles Fred, son famille affrontant les temps très formidables. On a choisi la chambre, il m'a écouté les framboises. Louis Pasteur, son frère, il a tout son médical. Auguste Renoir, on a fait la chambre, il a son plus bel pente, il s'en a mis. Sarah Bernhardt, qui vient d'autres les d'art pour les femmes. C'est notre Maurice Chevalier, son enfant, il est pipe, le pompe de compte, tout type, papa, pipote, de pipe, papa. Guten Abend, meine Herren und meine Herren. Es gefallen Sie Nachrichten an der Stadt am Rück von unseren Ugern bei der Klicken am Mann das ganze Intelligence von der Autostadt Milton Berle. Gefallen Sie eine Nachricht von der Stadt am Rück von der Thomas Mann, wird unter die Schalagen da. Thomas Mann wird Ihnen Friedrich Nietzsche, was und über ganze die Ältere Schliffer waren. In gefallen Sie weg daran Schliffer und Gacken in der Falken und Hegel und Hess und Wielock und Schlepper der und Schopenhauer und rufen den Max Planck. Was andere schwirrt das Quantentheorie, was uns liegt von oben. Und Beethoven, was er nur das schlagende PR. Und Wilhelm und Wagner, wo dann Bund und der ganze volle andere Schwedwerk und die anderen Musiker. Und Bandig für andere Spieler und Rand von der ganze Intellekt von der Ohr. Und Polen und Tschechoslowakien, und wieder kommt andere Schliffern und Einstein und Schlichter und Lily Marlene. Und gefallen die Lichter bei nullische Werben bei Augen. Buonasera signore e signorine. Con un lave pioso che ne scinaga lo riavviate, melontoso, lo con un valmedato non richiaso, lo solio, non doseghilo sono acabati. Leonardo da Vinci con lo solo rivelato a Milton Berle, lo sono acabati, lo composo di Caesania. Michelangelo Macalolone Malotti. Michelangelo Bonarotti, che lo assunto di Pipalo, the ceiling, la condavaglio su una piaggia. Sono da seguire da 4 years e nessuno che ha battuto di mana di Pope, che non è detto insieme Michelangelo. Come on down, che lo potete appicciare. We're going to wallpaper, che lo più loco si va a scianne, per dottondi. Enrico Fermi, Galileo Galilei, che sono via per la cosa da scinata, sono via piose, Mussolini e Mona Lisa, non sono che la pace le sono levitato. Due su, gaiso! Non do su, non sono che solo. Non do che sciaito, sono i galà. Guarda, non sono che dago. Non sono due, sono che salai. May you have many, many more wonderful affairs and many, many more dollars for the pits.
Did seeing those two icons bring back memories to you? I can tell you that last night, at the end of the performance, I was overwhelmed by the people telling me how they grew up watching those two gentlemen on stage and also in the television tube. It really was quite an evening, and it was history made on that stage watching those two great gentlemen. Now, I want to take a little time before I show you a special interview to thank first the Islanders, the support group that put all this together, and of course the Orange County Museum of Art. You had a lot of people involved putting this together, and to you, Ann Stern, the president of the Islanders and of the event last night, I want to compliment you because you brought a lot of memories, a lot of sweetheart memories back to the people who attended your event. And now, at the underwriters' party, at the cast party at the very end, I had a chance to sit down one-on-one with my buddy Milton and had a little time to talk about a little bit of his past career. So stay tuned, and we'll close the show with this interview. And to the rest of you all, if you want to get involved and help the Orange County Museum of Art, especially the children's programs that the Orange County Museum is bringing all over the place throughout the county, I want you to call the Islanders. You'll get their number. You can call Fashion Island and join that support group because they could use your help. And now, a few choice minutes I had to spend with Milton. You know, we just finished a great show here in Fashion Island. This has been one heck of a year for you, isn't it?
A wonderful year because, hey, I hit the big one, right?
Well, even before we talk about the big one, let's talk about 50 years in television, because they've been celebrating that all year here in 1998. We're here for the local museum. On the museum board, it says the television starts 1948, Milton Berle, Texaco Star Theater.
Does it say that
That's
really?
right on the board.
It's wonderful.
You know, you've seen so many
Sort
things
of a
in 50
wonderful
years.
tribute.
It's great.
50 years in television.
50 years in
Nothing
television.
before that, huh?
Well, maybe another 40 years before that.
No, well,
How about 35 years before that?
this is my
85th?
85th year in show business. I started when I was a kid. You know that.
Yeah.
They know it. I don't know. Do you know that, folks? No, you don't know it.
5 years old when he started.
Yeah, and silent pictures. You don't even remember silent pictures,
Well,
do you?
before I go that, the evening's events about the Titanic. You were 4 years old when the Titanic went down.
I remember.
You started show business the year after.
That's right.
You know what I really want to ask you first off?
Yeah?
Let's go back to 1948. You had no predecessor to your show. You really kind of invented modern television. So tell me, what was it like?
Mike, just let me say this. I said Mike, then I hit you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Mike,
I got it.
laugh it up, please.
I got it.
Because we have no studio audience. What was it like? See, nobody knows this. I think this is a scoop for you. Big deal. But everybody thinks, they take a guess of when did Milton, Uncle Milty, start on television? They said 1948.
Yeah, it's correct.
Wrong. I'm going to surprise you. You got a scoop?
All right.
I don't know if it's that big scoop, but in 1929, see, your eyes open, Michael?
Talking 19 years earlier.
1929, I was on television. You're going to say, wait a minute, they had television in 1929? Yeah. It's too long a story, but get to the bottom line. I was appearing in vaudeville, and I was in Chicago, playing the Palace Theater in Chicago, and during the evening, or at matinee or something, a guy come backstage. I remember his name, but I can't think of it now, so talk to each other, and I'll think of his name. And my mother said hello to him, and he said, my name is... Yeah, she said, yes. We just saw your son, Milton, right? This is 1933, during the World's Fair in Chicago. And I was at the Palace Theater in Chicago doing exactly the same shtick and stuff that I do now, MC and doing shtick and dancing and singing and telling, or say, cracking jokes.
Right.
Boom, rim shot. And he came backstage, he said, I have a television studio over here. My mother said, you have a what?
Yeah.
What's television?
Right.
1929. So I wonder, Mrs. Berle, if you'd allow your son, or you'd give us permission to ask you to allow your son to appear in front of the cameras at my television. Oh, he had a storefront store, and in the back he had a television, like you're working, with this beautiful operator here, who I could lovely operate on, boom, rim shot, and he's come back, and I did it. And I did part of my stage show, monologue, my stand-up, in 1929. So it's a long way from 29 to 48. That's the first time that I was on television.
Yes, but...
Now it was local,
Yeah.
it was a test pattern, and I still have, Mike, maybe I can get you a copy of it,
Yeah.
but I still have the copy, like the kinescope, they called them a kinescope in those days, of that appearance in Chicago in 1929.
But when you started in 48, there was no predecessor for you to look at and try to copy. So when you scripted this and you set the cameras, I knew you ran the whole production. Did you look at it as just a filming of a burlesque show or of a vaudeville show, or did you
You nearly had it right there.
Yeah.
It was a camera in front of a stage,
Right.
and we ran a vaudeville show. Could have been called Milton Berle's Vaudeville Show or Texaco Vaudeville Show, and it was a vaudeville with a varied kind of show business of singers, dancers, acrobats, jugglers. Later on, Ed Sullivan did it, right?
Right, exactly.
About a year or two later. Well, that was the format, and it was a mixture of variety and everything. Then we got guest stars. It was a tough job getting them.
Right.
Because we had trouble trying to get them from Hollywood.
Right.
Because the studios all turned me down, even though I did all the pictures of 20th century and prior to... You don't know what I did before television.
Yeah.
You're going back 50 years. This is the 50th anniversary, thank the Lord, of me being on television. You were talking about the trials and tribulations. Well, that's trials and tribulations.
Well, they viewed you as, especially television, especially in the startup, as pure competition. The movie studios did originally.
They would not allow me to use any of their stars who were under contract, right?
Right.
So I knew them for being in motion pictures before that, in the 30s, and I personally called them all. Well, They were maybe contract players, so they wouldn't do it because they'd break their contract.
Right.
But I got quite a few, and that changed the look of the whole show, bringing in stars, Martin and Lewis,
Right.
Presley, Elvis Presley.
Right.
First appearance was on the Texaco show.
Right.
It was Elvis and Pelvis. We did a shtick together.
Yeah.
Hound Dog, right?
Let me ask you another story that I know of. We went down a couple of months ago together. We were in San Diego, and we had a real legend show down there. We had Sid Caesar with us, and we had Norm Crosby with us, and Dave Barry. But as we were traveling down together, I found out something, because Elvis Presley his first television appearance was not on the Ed Sullivan Show. As we drove down Highway 1 going down to San Diego, we were looking out and we saw a naval ship. And when we saw that naval ship, you looked out and you said to me,
I don't remember.
Elvis Presley.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
1955.
That's correct.
Is that what I said?
Yes.
That was his first appearance.
On a naval ship, you had him on the show.
Sure. It was a
Aircraft carrier?
aircraft carrier. And I remember how we opened the show. They had a
Now, this is pre-Ed Sullivan. It was pre-Ed Sullivan. It was before he had him. Yeah.
it was the way I made the entrance to the ship. They flew me in on a helicopter.
Right.
They caught the shot in the air. Ladies and gentlemen, voiceover, so-and-so, down so-and-so, a Texaco show. The Milton Berle, and they came down, and they come down to the helicopter. The helicopter landed right on the boat. And I got out. And the only applause was because we did have an audience there.
Right.
From the school. What?
Okay.
Well, I had my man who was George Slaughter, who was my,
Yeah,
now he's a wonderful producer,
yeah.
but that's how that show opened, if I recall. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. You know, I think what I remember most myself, because I was born a little bit later, was the way that whether you appeared with Danny Thomas, he appeared on your show, you went on Lucy's show, the way the 4 or 5 of you used to go back on each other's shows, I thought was really
It
enjoyable.
was called Swap Time,
Right, that's correct.
or barter. You do your show,
Right.
I'll do your show, you do mine. In fact, I saw one of the Lucy's specials that she did,
Right.
where I was the guest star, and on my show, she was the guest star. So we did a swap there.
Right.
And I was in drag, you remember?
Yeah.
I was coming down the stairs on the sides of my feet and flirting with
Right.
the neighbor.
You know, the first transvestite in television.
Transvestite. No, I didn't play it as a transvestite,
I know.
as a sissy. When I used to say, I swear I'll kill you, I didn't do it with a transvestite style. I wore a dress. You know why? Because I loved it. Kidding. So that's the whole story, and it's a great pleasure, Mike, to be with you. And I want to thank you for what you've done for me all during this engagement. You were really terrific, and I love you.
I love you, Milton. Listen, that's our show this week. We'll be back next week. You saw 2 great icons on television. Of course, it's a fantastic year, the 50th year of television, Milton's 85th year in show business, and his 90th birthday year. Glad you got to spend some time with him. And Milton, I love you.
Send me the check.
Watch this.
What about the money? If I ever switch, he's first. Okay?